Hi, this is Tom Stone. Welcome to this demonstration. We're going to be doing a session to see if we can have some impact, some effect on lowering high blood pressure. And our volunteer for this session is Les Mason, who's from Ireland and UK, goes back and forth commuting. And I know Les from, he and his wife took a training from me in London some years ago, and we've been out of touch, but recently when I announced this, Les got in touch and he said he'd like to try it because he's had high blood pressure. Now he has some physical causes of that, which I won't explain, let him explain if he'd like to, but we're gonna see if there's some significant impact that doing the reduction of emotional stress can have on lowering his blood pressure. And this is the first one of this particular series, and I'm very eager to do a whole bunch of them so we can get some really good data on, what kind of impact this will actually have. So just want to introduce you to Les and let him describe his situation a little bit and tell us what he'd like to accomplish. And here he is. Les, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Les Mason. I'm a 62, nearly 63 years old. I was born with a coarctation of the aorta, which is a narrowing of the aorta in the lower part of my body. And that went undiagnosed for 35 years. And they diagnosed it, and I had curative surgery in 1991. Since then, I've been on blood pressure pills. I'm very bad at taking chemicals into my body. So basically, I stopped them for a long time, but I frightened a young nurse once when my blood pressure was 200/100, and she wouldn't let me walk out of the office. So basically, I've now been on blood pressure pills for the last few years, and I would like to stop them. Or lower the dose. So, and as Tom said, I worked with Tom before. I've got a great, I use Tom's techniques on I would love to say daily, but my life gets in the way. But yes, I've got a lot of my brain power thinks about the way Tom taught in his sessions. So when I heard about this session, I really felt that, concentrating with Tom would help me.
Terrific. Thank you so much. So we have a brief orientation video. It's about 12 minutes. It's from the front end of one of the earlier sessions I did with Desi Coster about anxiety. And although the topic is different, it doesn't matter. Our procedure is pretty much the same no matter what problem we're addressing. And if you're watching this from the recorded video of the session, what I strongly recommend that you do is to stop this recording, just pause it here or stop it, and go to the Inner Greatness Global website, innergreatnessglobal.com, and do a search. At the bottom, there's a search function, and just put in the word orientation, click on that, and you'll get some results. The orientation is about a 12-minute video. And I highly recommend you watch that first so that you understand the procedures that we're going to use in this session. So when you're finished watching that, then come back and watch this session, because we're going to skip that part. So we saved that time. That's why I cut out that separate little orientation video for you to watch. So I think you'll understand a lot more what's going on if you do that. Okay, so as you'll see in that orientation, one of the things that we do, and Les is familiar with this, is we start each session with something, checking with the muscle testing, which is also explained on the orientation video. We test with the muscle testing to see what is the right level to approach the problem at. And the reason we do this is because, most practitioners have a certain scope of training. A surgeon has a certain scope of training, and he sees problems basically through the eyes of surgery. Whatever it is, can I get it with it? Can I do it with surgery? An herbal medicine person sees it through their training of, which herbs are going to be best for solving this problem. The problem with this is that many approaches that are limited by the scope of the training of the person, certainly they're not holistic. They're just like a certain portion of the huge scope of modalities that could be used in order to resolve a problem. And just to give an example, let's say someone has depression, and they go to a regular medical doctor and he prescribes antidepressant medicine for them. Well, if they're lucky and it works and it sort of relieves their depression, that's all fine until they stop taking the medicine. Okay, it's just kind of like what you were talking about when you stop. It's just, the medicine is just symptom suppressive. It's just suppressing. It's not really curing the problem, not really solving the problem. And if they go to an herbal medicine person and the person gives them St. John's wort and they feel better, it's the same thing. When they stop taking it, the likelihood that it's going to come back is actually very high, because the problem isn't really being approached where it truly lives, where the possibility of a real solution lies. So we have this phenomena, this chart that I was kind of lucky to sort of conceive of. Simple, it's called the Where to Start chart. It has 5 different levels: consciousness level, energetic level, chemical level, mechanical level, and then the environmental level. And so in each one of those, there are different modalities that can be used. And at the consciousness level, which is the first level, we use these techniques that we're going to be using in this session, assuming it tests that it's appropriate. That the consciousness level is the level of our thoughts, feelings, perceptions, things we experience. And this is the level at which the pure awareness techniques work. And it's great that Les is already familiar with the pure awareness techniques. It's going to be not so much detail in guiding him through it. Now, I'm going to guide him through it anyway, just so that people who are watching who've never seen this before can get a sense of that, with what we're doing, so it's not mysterious. But in any case, I always love working with people who already know this because it makes it much easier. So we're going to use the muscle testing to determine which level is the appropriate level for us to work on. And because our intention is to see to what extent we can reduce the blood pressure, high blood pressure, we can lower it by reducing emotional stress. That's kind of our very specific intention, our kind of mission here. Then it's very likely that the place where this solution resides is on the consciousness level of this first level. So we have a significant opportunity to decrease the stresses that are causing Les's high blood pressure by using the pure awareness techniques and working at this level. Yes. Okay, this is a strong response. And there's some other level at which there's a significant contribution that can be made. Yes. The energetic level. Yes. The chemical level, yes. Mechanical level, no. Environmental level, no. So at the energetic level, the percentage of contribution to the solution is more than 10%. No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8% at the energetic level. Okay, so we don't really need to be too concerned about that. Okay. At the chemical level, it's more than 10%, more than 20%, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 16% at the chemical level. And this chemical level is involving medications. No, this is involving some dietary changes. Oh, okay. Maybe a little bit of adjustment in diet's going to help. Okay,
good.
So yeah, so 16%, we can have some influence at the dietary level. Now, I'm not an expert at that. So what I would suggest is that you get with somebody who knows about the connection between diet and high blood pressure, because there's maybe some stuff you're eating that you need to stop, and maybe there's some eating that you need to start, okay? So I'm going to just refer you to find somebody who knows about that, and that'll give a little chunk of improvement there, okay? But the consciousness level, we have the opportunity to address this problem and get significant contribution to the solution at that level. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 61, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 69%. All right, now we're talking, okay? So we have a good opportunity here to make a significant difference. It should be very measurable. This is good, really good. Okay, so we're going to work at that consciousness level, and now I'm going to also be very, very precise about what we're looking for. My sense is, my intuition, and I'm going to check this, my intuition is correct here, that there are specific stressors, like certain maybe traumatic kinds of things that happened to you in the past. It could be even from early childhood. You might not even remember the events. And fortunately, we don't have to remember the events. This is not therapy. Okay? This is not, as you know, this is not therapy. This is training and how to utilize previously underutilized capacities, natural capacities to feel things. Now, the traumatic energies tend to be what we used to call, when Les took the training, we used to call them the core technique energies. Core standard for center of remaining energy. It's like an acronym. It's an excellent name because it's the core and it has that meaning. But I've been teaching now this work in various different countries, especially the last about 4 years. I've been teaching quite a lot in China. And what I found was that these acronym names from our human software engineering language, not so easy to translate into Chinese. So we simplified the names of the techniques. The one for dealing with the inner traumatic stored emotional pain, we now just call it the in technique. And in technique describes it because you go into the energy, and it's also much easier to translate. So we use in, and the other type of energy that we also may work with, we'll see, I think there's some of these as well. It's called the out technique. We used to call it the C technique. It's called the out technique. And you literally go outside the energy field. And so we're going to use these two techniques to, we're going to use the muscle testing to find the energy. And if we need to, we'll also use something called locate. We used to call it GPS. Now we call it the locate technique. And we use that to pinpoint specifically those stresses that are the real root cause of the elevated blood pressure. This is our intention. Yeah. So I'm going to check first how many of the in technique energies we need to identify and resolve. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4, only 4. Okay, that's really good. Okay, out technique energies, we need 1, 2, only 2. Okay, that's only 6. We ought to be able to do the whole thing today, Les. This would be great.
One stop, yes.
Yeah, one-stop shop. Okay, so you're familiar with it. So you know that this is easiest to do with your eyes closed. So if you go ahead and close your eyes, we're going to just launch right into it now. We're going to get started on the first one. And it's optimal for us to use the locate technique to find this specific patterns of energy. Yes, it is. So I'm going to just guide you through this the first time, Les, even though you know how to do it, just for the sake of those who are watching, they can understand what's going on. So when we do the locate technique, we start by just noticing what happens when we sit quietly and close our eyes. And what happens is, we can still hear sounds, feel your body sitting in the chair, maybe other physical sensations. And the other main thing that happens is that we have thoughts going through our mind. And there's a useful analogy here. The thoughts occur in a background of silence in our mind. And the thoughts are like looking up at the sky on a partly cloudy day and seeing the clouds. Because the clouds are occurring in a background of the sky. It's just like this, always there. It's sort of limitless, and the clouds float by, and we notice them. Like that, our awareness is that silent background in which the thoughts occur, and the thoughts kind of come and go like clouds passing in the sky. Now, it's just an analogy. We're not looking for images of clouds and sky. It's just to make just an analogy to get the feel for it. So what we do is we start by noticing the thoughts that are coming. And Les, I want you to notice the thoughts in a particular manner. First of all, don't be concerned about the meaning or content of the thoughts. just allow yourself to sort of observe them from a little bit of a distance. And because you're unconcerned about the meaning or content, you don't need to become sort of absorbed in thinking like we often do, but we're just kind of just sort of observing from a slight distance. It's easy to do that. And so as the next thoughts are coming at your discretion, when one of them comes, you feel ready to do it, start looking off to the side of that thought and just noticing the kind of emptiness or quietness in the background. That's the background in which the thoughts are occurring. That background is your awareness. Now, normally we don't pay any attention to our awareness because there's nothing there. It's kind of uninteresting. There's no objects of perception. It's just sort of empty. But the reason we're paying attention to it now is that when you're in the state of that quietness, there's nothing to distract you or interfere with your ability to feel the energy, the sensation of the energy of the emotion when we tell the body to show it to us, which we're going to do in just a moment. Now, obviously, you don't stay in the quietness for a long time. Another thought comes along and interrupts it. And that's okay, because we're not trying to get rid of thoughts. What you do is when the next thought comes, you also look off to the side of that thought and notice the background of silence again. And you keep doing that. Each time a new thought comes, look off to the side, notice the background of quietness. So you get kind of a series of tastes of the quietness as you're doing this each time you look off to the side. And because we're not concerned with the meaning or content of the thoughts, as they come, you don't even have to complete them. You just sort of notice that a thought is kind of coming along, and you don't have to finish the sort of sentence of the thought. You can just look off to the side of the thought immediately, sort of interrupting it in a way, and notice the quietness again. And as you do that more and more, you start to get a sense, like a familiarity with sort of being in that quietness. I know you've done this in the past, so how's it going? You get a sense of that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So now we can tell the body very specifically, show me the in-technique energy, the first one of these four that are the real root cause of my elevated blood pressure. And pretty much right away, the body's going to show you someplace inside where there's a kind of constriction, a kind of tight feeling, like a knot or ball of energy, very localized. It might be in your chest or your solar plexus, your belly, throat. It could be anywhere. Feel something?
Yeah.
Where? Just curious, where is it?
Small in my back.
Small of the back. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the correct location of the first energy that we're after. Yes, I'm testing for you. Yeah. Okay. So you know how to do the in technique. What we do is you bring your awareness closer to it, a little bit like being on Google Maps and clicking in for a closer view. You click in till you can really feel it quite well, not so close that it becomes overwhelming. And you want to put your attention right into the center of the strongest part of the energy field. As you feel it, you'll notice that there's an area where it's stronger than elsewhere. And that's typically right in the center. So you go there, you allow yourself to feel that central, strongest part of the energy. And that's all you do. You just notice it. You don't try to make it go away. You don't try and do anything to it. You just allow yourself to experience it. Now, you've done this plenty of times, so I'm sure that's easy for you. For people who do this the first time, it's a little bit of a surprise that doing that doesn't kill you. Yeah, it can feel a little bit intense, but it's just a sensation, and it's really not as difficult as the 3-year-old in us would think it would be. Now, what happens when you do this is that the intensity level of that central strongest part of the energy may seem to stay more or less the same for a bit. But if you allow yourself to just continue to notice it, innocently sort of notice it, gradually it will become softer and less intense. It might take a little while, that's okay. But when that happens, Les, let me know.
Yeah, it's getting less.
Excellent. This is great. So when it becomes less, we do that sort of Google Maps clicking in closer thing again. You bring your awareness closer to whatever remains of the energy. And again, focus your attention right into the center of the strongest part. And again, after some time, it will lessen, soften a little more. And when it does, get closer to it again. And each time it gets softer, let's immediately get closer to it again. And Les already knows this, but what he's doing is he's completing the experience of some emotional trauma or stress that he experienced in the past, that when it happened, it was just too much to process in the moment. Couldn't do it. So sort of stored it or archived it, like, okay, I'll deal with it next week or next month or maybe never, if I can get away with it. And so it's just been in there waiting to be completed. And by doing this process the way I've been explaining it, which again, Les fortunately already knows how to do, which is great. But as you just allow yourself to notice the strongest central part of the energy, you don't have to feel the entire energy field, just the central strongest part, because this is where the essence of the energy lives. And by just noticing that strongest part of it, it's the most efficient way to begin the process of completing the incomplete experience that the body's been holding there for who knows how long. Just out of curiosity, I just checked. This one's been there for 37 years. Wow. It happened early on. So again, each time it gets softer, get closer. And as you get toward the end of completing the incomplete experience, right near the end, the experience will start to change. The energy will start to kind of break up or dissolve or kind of dissipate. It's kind of analogous to the fog burning off in the morning sun. It'll just sort of start to vanish and disappear. And there'll be a certain point where it just sort of drifts away, floats away, vanishes, dissolves. And then it'll be gone, and you'll be back in that same quietness that you were experiencing when you were looking off to the side of the thoughts. So just keep going. It may take a while to get there, but you just keep going. And when you reach that state where the energy is completely gone, then you can open your eyes and we'll double check to make sure that that one's really gone. Okay, feels like it's gone.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now I'm gonna just test. Okay, so this one is now completed. Yep, you got it. There's some more of it hanging out somewhere we have to go dig for or find or uncover. No, you got it. Good job. Number one is down. Cool. Okay, we're going to do the same thing, just march right through these 2, 3, 4 like that. So, you up for it? You okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. So go ahead and close your eyes again. Go back into the quietness. That'll get easier and easier each time. If you need to look off to the side of the thoughts to access it, that's fine. If you just can sense it because you were just there, that's fine too. But when you've got a little bit of a sense of that, you can just tell the body, okay, body, show me the next one. We're looking for the specific energies that are the main root causes of the HPP.
Yeah, I've got a feeling in my chest.
This is the next one. Yep, that's the one. You got it. Okay, so click in close. Get as close as you can without it being overwhelming. Notice the central strongest part of the energy. When it starts to soften, then get a little closer. And each time it softens, get closer immediately until it's all gone.
Feel that's gone as well.
Okay, just checking on that one. This one is now completed. Yep, some more of it someplace we need to go find. No, very good. Okay, that one's gone. If you're up for it, just go for the next one. Same procedure. When you find it, again, just kind of let me know where it is.
My right hand. No, sorry, left hand. Yeah, that one was a bit difficult. It kept running away.
Okay. Well, let's see. You completed this one also. Yes. Still some of it that got away that we need to go after? No? Very good. Okay. Great. One to go. You up for it?
Yeah, I just have a stretch.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Take the break for a moment if you like. That's no problem. Yeah, good idea. The water is so full. Okay. Going for number 4. When you find it, just let me know.
Yeah, this one's just under the right shoulder blade.
Okay. This is the location of the next one. Yep, you got it. Go for it.
Yeah, I think that one's gone as well.
Okay, let's just check it. This one's gone. Still a little bit of it left someplace. Actually, there's a little bit of this one still left someplace.
Okay.
You might have a backup. You might have a backup copy someplace. Go back into the quietness and just tell the body if there's any more of this energy. This last one, show me where it is.
I've found something in the left thigh now. I've gone down there, I think.
Ah, interesting. Okay. So this is sort of like a backup copy of the one that was under the shoulder blade. Yeah, this is same energy, just stored in a different location. This happens sometimes, and this is why we use the muzzle testing, is because otherwise we might miss it. So this is really good. So go ahead and go for this one as well.
Yeah, that's gone now.
Okay, very good. This one is now complete. There's still more backup copies hidden someplace else. No. So all of the traumatic in-technique energies that have been at the root cause of this 69% of the problem that can be solved with this approach, all of these energies are now completely resolved. Yes. Something more on this particular level we need to do. No. Okay. Great job. Great job, Les. You got him.
Done.
Excellent. So now we tested at the beginning two out technique energies. We still, optimal to still do these two. Yeah, we can do it. You up for it?
Yep.
Yeah, good. Yeah, sure. So I'll explain a little bit that the out technique energies are completely different than the in technique ones. They are not, they don't feel like they're inside the body. They feel like they radiate out from the body into the space around you. And they kind of fill up the space around you with a kind of cloud or aura of energy. And the problem is you're inside this cloud or aura of energy, and it causes you to kind of see the world through it. It's a little bit like having dark glasses on. It just sort of colors everything and makes things seem very real, even though the energy of the emotion and the energy field are a reaction to some kind of story that you've got running in your mind. Very often when you're inside the energy cloud, you're not fully aware that you're doing this. And you've been doing it for so long that it just seems normal. Okay? But this kind of energy cloud does create a kind of stress. And what we want to do is we want to get outside the energy cloud. That's why we use the name out technique. And it's easy to do. We can use locate again, and we tell the body to show us the out technique energy that's contributing to the root cause of the HPP. And it'll show you pretty much immediately. It'll show you this kind of like mist or cloud or aura of energy that surrounds and engulfs you. And so the instruction will be very simple. We just go see how big it is. And you just move out, you let your awareness move out into the space around you further and further and further until you come to the place where the energy fades off into the surrounding quietness. And once you get into the quietness, typically the energy just starts shrinking and fading away. It kind of doesn't have the grip on you that it had before. And as it's fading away, we go deep into the quietness, and we look back, and we see the energy shrinking, fading away. And now, frequently, you'll be able to sense the story that's been running in the background that's been causing this energy. And there are two categories of stories. One is you have some expectation. You want life to show up in a certain way, and it doesn't. Okay? And either you want it to not happen in a certain way and it does, or you don't want it to, or you do want it to happen and it doesn't. Okay, so those are a couple of variations on it. But this is basically having an expectation that's unmet. And when the expectation is unmet, you know how it is when people don't get what they want. They get upset, they get angry, disappointed, frustrated, sad, depressed, whatever. The other subcategory, the other set of stories are the projections of possible negative outcomes onto the future. And this is what creates anxiety, worry, sort of negative thinking, this kind of stuff. Think, oh, it's not going to work, And so when you have this kind of thing, then this is the cause of some anxious or fearful kinds of feelings. In its worst cases, it becomes panic attacks or even hypervigilance in like people with PTSD. So whichever kind it is, we have Yeah, I think you have one of each. One that's a reaction to an unmet expectation, and one that's a projection of a possible negative outcome onto the future. And these are, for whatever reason, these are contributing to causing the HPP. Okay. So we're going to go into the quietness, and we'll go for the expectation one first. It matters. Yeah, it does matter, actually. We're going to do the expectation one first. So I'm going to tell the body, show me the out technique energy, we call that a reactive emotion, the out technique energy of the reactive emotion of some reaction to an unmet expectation that's contributing to the root cause of my HPP. So go ahead and do that. The first thing we got to do is to be able to feel the presence of this energy cloud.
So I've got a pain around here, or not pain, feeling here.
Yeah.
I've got a hat on.
Notice whether that feeling kind of radiates out a little bit from your head into the space around you.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So let's go see how big it is. Might be surprising. Sometimes they're a lot bigger than you first think. So you just let your awareness move out into the space around you further and further. And we're looking for the place where the last part of the energy just sort of fades off into the surrounding quietness. And we're interested in that quietness because that's your awareness. And that's where we want to go. When you find the quietness, let me know.
Yeah, I found it.
Okay, excellent. So the next step is to go a little bit deeper into the quietness, a little bit further away from the cloud of energy. And it's very easy to do. You just notice the area of the quietness that's a little bit further away from the energy field.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, very good. And now go much deeper into the quietness, quite far away from the energy field. And allow yourself to notice that you could just keep going, like there's no end to it. It's just vast and limitless. You get a sense of that?
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice place to hang out, actually. There's no problems out here. It's just sort of expansive and peaceful. Yeah, it's very pleasant. Now, if you look back at the energy cloud that you were inside of just moments ago, what's happening to it?
It's a long way away.
Yeah.
I'm getting smaller.
Excellent. This is exactly what we want. Now, you may or may not be able to see or sense the story that's at the basis of this. If you do have a sense of it, let me know. If not, it's okay. This would be, you had some expectation and things didn't work out the way you wanted. Might have been a fairly kind of fundamental one, some way you thought life was going to be, didn't turn out like that.
Yeah, I was thinking of my dad.
Ah, Okay. Had you expected him to be different in some way?
No, I expected him to live past when I was 10.
Okay. So there's maybe some residual kind of grief, actually. So this expectation that was not met, your wish that your dad would have lived past, your 10-year-old, you haven't probably been that aware that you've had this story of the sort of disappointment about that. It's been lingering around all this time. Yeah?
No, I thought I'd put it all to bed.
Yeah, exactly. So the disappointment, sadness, been kind of hanging out. And interestingly enough, that unresolved energy has been there as one of the core drivers of the HPP. Fascinating. And not surprising, the nature of that's typically a very stressful thing, losing parents, very traumatic. Okay, so notice whether continuing to hang on to this story and let it to keep creating this energy of this sort of disappointment and sadness, is this benefiting your life in any way to keep it?
No.
Not whatsoever.
No.
Yeah.
He was
So
unwell.
it's not a good use. He was unwell. Yeah. It's not a good use of your life energy. It's draining your life energy to keep this. Now that you're outside the energy cloud, notice that you have a sort of increased sense of choice or empowerment. It's like now you're much more conscious of what's going on. Yeah?
Yeah.
And notice that just by deciding to kind of unplug the power cord and just not allow this thought to continue to occupy any real estate in your awareness, just by making that decision, the rest of the energy and the story will just kind of collapse back into the nothingness out of which you created them in the first place. So go ahead and try that out. Just decide. If it's not doing you any good, there's no point in keeping it, right? Just decide not to feed energy into this anymore. Kind of unplug the power cord and just let it collapse back into nothing. Doesn't mean you don't love your dad. He wouldn't want you hanging on to this and continuing to have that story contribute to your HPP. So he's right there with you saying, come on, son, let it go. Get a sense of that? The whole thing just sort of
it's
releases and lets go. Yeah.
It's going, but slow.
That's okay. That's okay. Just allow it to just kind of collapse back into nothing. Yeah, you've been holding on to that one for a long time.
Yes.
Indeed. Enough already. Very good. You're doing great, Les. Really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
Very good.
For the help.
Oh, you're so well. Yeah. I'm sure that feels lighter to let that burden off of your shoulders for however long. How old are you? Like your 50s?
63. So it's
63. Yeah.
so
50
odd years.
53 years you've been holding on to this thing. Wow. Okay. Nice. Good riddance to the story. All right. The last one is this energy of some projection of some possible negative outcome onto the future. So there's something about which you have a kind of ongoing grudge against, or this fear that something not good is going to occur. And this kind of drives you in a certain way and pushes you, and it contributes to your HPP. So we don't need to figure it out with the mind. Fortunately, the way our process works, as you well know, is by focusing on the energy. So let's use the locate technique again. This time tell the body to show you the out technique energy of this projection of a possible negative outcome onto the future, the specific one that's contributing to the elevated HPP. That's like the real root cause of that. You need to make a little bit more conscious decision that when the body shows you this one, that you're going to allow yourself to feel it. Sometimes you have to do this when you do the out technique because, you've got a lifetime of avoidance, right? Of wanting to not feel this stuff. And also, this one is so familiar to you. It's been there for so long that it kind of feels normal. And so this makes it a little bit less easy to identify when it first comes up. So go ahead and make the decision that you're going to allow yourself to feel it, and that you're going to be able to notice it even though it's a very familiar sensation that's been there all this time. And then just tell the body again, really convince it. Say, okay, body, come on. I'm ready. Show it to me. And then just kind of relax and just notice what happens.
I don't know, it's there, but I can't bring it to get it.
That's okay. That's okay. Sometimes they can be kind of vague, Vague. Thing is, it's just something that's not pure awareness. Okay? You just have a sense that there's something there that's not just that pure expansive quietness, right?
Yes.
And all you have to do, you don't even have to travel through it if you can't really sense the field, but there's something there. And the only thing we need to know is that there's a part of you that's already outside that field. And it's the part of you that's actually having this whole experience. That's your awareness. Okay? So what I want you to do is simply notice that somewhere out there, this feeling isn't there. There's just that emptiness or quietness there. Okay? It's out beyond. Don't have to worry about finding the edge or anything like that. But somewhere out there, there's a sense of the quietness that's in contrast to this feeling. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just sort of jump out there, let your awareness just go there and notice that quietness is out there beyond the outer reaches of this feeling. And that's typically quite possible because you're already there. There's a part of you, the biggest part of you actually is already there. Get a sense of that?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Excellent. Okay. So go even deeper into that silent, quiet, emptiness space, even deeper, further away from whatever that was. We don't even have to call it a cloud or aura, whatever it was, just that feeling. That, in fact, was the energy we're looking for. Yeah, that was it. So go really deep into the quietness. And again, take a few moments to notice how expansive and vast and limitless it is. Get a sense of that?
Yes.
Excellent. And now look back at whatever that was that you were inside of, and what's happening to it now?
It's sort of just thinning out.
Very good. And you may or may not get the sense of the story that's generating this energy, but it's probably some kind of expression of a projection of that, oh, something bad could happen. And if you don't get a sense of it, that's okay.
Yeah, all I'm sort of it's just alone. That's all I'm here sort of feeling.
Okay. Like a feeling of, oh, I could end up just being alone.
Yes.
Yeah. That would be a very natural consequence of your father dying at an early age. My gosh, it's perfectly reasonable that you would develop that. That makes a lot of sense, huh?
True. Yes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so notice whether there's any benefit to your life in keeping this story alive in your awareness.
No, absolutely none.
No, it's not causing you to have people gather around you. Yeah, okay, great. And so obviously this is a waste of life energy.
Yes.
And again, you want to just make the decision to let it go. Unplug the power cord and let it go back into the nothingness. And when you do that, the remaining part of that energy that was sort of dissipating, fading away, and the story will just kind of collapse and just not even be an issue anymore. It's amazing how you kind of have this empowered sense of choice about that once you get outside the cloud of energy.
Yeah, Tom, it's gone long way.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. This is completed. Yeah. Okay, there's something else, something of any kind that we can approach at this consciousness level that we still need to do in order to completely resolve the real root causes of the contribution to the HPP from this level. Yep, there's still something. This is in, this is out. No, this is something we just need to talk about. It's more of an understanding. It's a commitment, it's a decision, it's an understanding, okay? Let's see what it could be. Les knows somewhere inside what this is, okay? So I'm not getting anything, Les, but you know inside yourself, and I'll show you how to find it, okay? It's kind of like a variation on the locate technique. We're not looking for the energy, we're looking for some little bit of some kind of an insight, something that you need to understand that will be supportive of the resolution of the HPP. So here's the way we're going to find it. What you do is you go back into the quietness just like you're going to do the locate technique. Mm-hmm. But instead of telling the body to show you the energy of the unresolved emotion, instead you just pose a query. Just say, what is it that would be really valuable and useful for me to understand that would contribute to my recovery? So go ahead and do that, and then you just let it go into the quietness and just wait and see what your inner wisdom has to tell you. You getting anything?
And just once again, sort of, I'm good. That seems to be what it's trying to, it's not a thought, it's just there. Does that make sense?
Kind of feeling. Yeah. this is what we were after. Yeah, this is what we were after. You must have been having some feeling to the contrary of this, or, at different points in your life. And you can kind of relax into that you're a good guy. Oh, that's great. Yeah, very good. So that's the message.
Thank you.
The physical contribution to your HPP that the doctors have felt was the real cause of it, this reduced artery thing and then the surgery and all that stuff. Whatever that was, it's not testing as being actually quite so primary. In fact, it didn't even come up on the physical level. It didn't come up as one of the things that's actually contributing to it. So that's very interesting. This is exactly the point that I was making before about the where to start chart. You go to a surgeon and he's going to see things through the eyes of surgery. It's kind of like, that's his training, right? So fortunately, we have a much more broad, holistic view, and we have contributions to make on these deeper levels. And so, okay, so now let's talk about what's going to happen now. Is it easy for you to take your own blood pressure like on a daily basis?
Yes, I've got the blood pressure machine behind me.
Would it be possible to take it right now?
Yes. Give me a second. It'll be a bit noisy.
That's quite all right. I'm just curious whether we'll get any kind of like immediate benefit. What I think we want to do in order to get like a kind of average, because there are many things that will influence. You could have particular stresses that'll come and go. I mean, I was actually in the hospital this past winter for a few days because I had a thrombosis and I had to get some medication. And anyway, it's all cleared up now. It's perfectly fine. But I had a little bit of elevated blood pressure myself, and just the stress of having to deal with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's take a look, see what the reading is now.
(173 over 102).
Okay, 173 over 102. How's that compare to your normal readings you've been getting?
It's about the same.
About the same.
Usually I take them when I'm just getting up, is when the doctor said is the best time to see.
Okay.
So they'll be a bit elevated now.
Okay. So what I think would be a good idea, if you're in line with this, is maybe take it daily at the time you normally take it, so it's consistent with before readings, and do that for maybe like 10 days or something, so we get a good average, right? Let's do that, and then let's touch base after that and kind of see how it's going.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I'll take it for the next 10 and then I'll get back to you.
All right, that sounds like a good plan. Let's do that, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Tom.
You're so welcome. It's also quite the case in my experience of doing this work for so long, Les, is that sometimes when we make these changes, particularly if it's related to some physical thing, that the body has to go through a period of sort of regulating, like adapting and kind of healing itself. Because once the pressures are gone from the stresses that were there, then there's a kind of like self-healing process of the actual tissues and organs and systems and stuff that has to take place. So that's why it'll be good to see over, like 10 days to see if we're getting any kind of changes.
Yes.
So very good. Well, thank you so much. This was a good first shot at this. And I look forward to hearing from you in about 10 days, and we'll get back online and just kind of do a little follow-up, see what's happening, get your numbers. Yeah, when you're done, email me the numbers.
I will.
For the 10 days, and then we'll just pursue it and see what happens. Very good. Thank you so much.